this is Jim Duffy of Refining Fire Chiles, www.superhotchilies.com. So, what's going on right now? It's March 23rd, 2023, and we are getting ready for the grow season. Now, the grow season is two things for me. It's getting nursery plants ready, put over here to ship nursery plants, chili plants all over the country, and sell to locals. And it's to grow my plants that I use to produce seed for the future. And one of the tools I have now that I didn't have years ago, we just built this last year, was a Planta greenhouse. And this is the 32-footer by 10 foot high, I think 10 foot wide, 32 foot long. I think it's called the Sun Grow. And it's made out of polycarbonate panels. I did a video on this earlier for Facebook, but this is going to go to my YouTube. And polycarbonate panels trap air in between the panel. You can see the panel. And that insulates better than just the thin plastic sheets or glass, just plain one-layer glass. So any of the greenhouses that want to have really good insulation are dual layer, or they're made out of polycarbonate. And there's polycarbonate panels that are thicker than these. I mean, you've got greenhouses that are giant in the agricultural industry. Well, we've got this one from Planta Greenhouses, and we paid about $5,200, and that included the shipping. I did have to pay another $100 and something shipping charge for the guy to lift it off the truck. It was a lifting fee or something like that, or unloading fee, because I don't have a forklift here. So anyway, in this greenhouse, the greenhouse is being used for two purposes, okay? So I just got done cleaning it up. We had some weeds. Look, there's some moss growing right there through it. Even though we've got this ground cover cloth from Greenhouse Megastore, it's 20-year or 25-year ground cover cloth, stuff still can grow through it, especially here in Georgia, where it's very humid and you get a lot of rain. It's kind of tropical sometimes, so stuff is just going to grow no matter what you do. So you just spray the weeds or pull them up. And in the case of that moss that's growing there, I'll just pour some bleach on it, and that'll be the end of it. So the greenhouse I have here serves two purposes, but let me tell you a little bit about the Planta greenhouse. The Planta greenhouses, as you can see, there's a lot of structural members in here, okay? It took almost 3 weeks to build between three of my friends. One guy helped out an hour or two a day. The other two guys were on it pretty much full time. My friend Tim from New York, who's been involved in construction all his life, and plumbing and pipe fitting, and my friend Adam, who's been involved in construction, who lives here in Georgia. And it was a really trying building this, and I helped out a little bit. I mostly kept my business running while they were doing this, and it was a lot of work because the videos are these Russian guys. I don't know why these Russian guys. Maybe they're the ones that designed it. There's videos showing them putting it together, but they kind of speed through some of it, and it's not all clear. So what you have to do if you ever get one of these greenhouses is you have to look at the instructions and watch the videos and kind of go back and forth so you can get a clear picture of everything they're doing. Okay? We made a mistake when we built this because I have a slope in my yard, but it doesn't look like it's a slope. The ground is sloping a lot. So what we did is, we wanted to have it attached to some kind of foundation. So over here, we have 2x6s, and you don't see it because they're covered, but there's anchors going into concrete holding these 2x6s down to the ground, and then the greenhouse is bolted into the 2x6s. So just to let you know, this type of greenhouse is rated for over 65 mile per hour winds, and it has a 10-year warranty on it. 10-year warranty. Now, as the ground sloped, we had to go to 2x8s and, to close it up, to have something to go to, and all the way to having these 2x12s. So we kind of had to jerry rig it. So you can see the door there's level to the ground, the door frame, the metal door frame across the bottom. And over here, it's about a foot above the ground. So we realized this after we concreted some stuff in, and to take a lot of the stuff apart and redo it the right way, would have been another week or two. And my friend was on borrowed time visiting from New York, and we needed his help. So what I suggest, if you get this greenhouse, what I suggest is that you build a wooden foundation out of railroad ties and anchor them to the ground in concrete, however you want to do it. And then then get that all level, right? So it doesn't matter if your ground's sloped or bumpy or whatever. Build that to where that's level. And then build your greenhouse and bolt it on top of that. And there's pictures of them having that set up, okay? That's what I recommend you do. I mean, you can pour a concrete foundation, which is a lot of money, and then anchor the greenhouse with concrete bolts down to the concrete foundation. That is an option. But the best bet is to get the railroad ties, and they have pictures on it and videos of it, and bolt the frame and attach those railroad ties into the ground, anchoring them in concrete. Many methods you can use. I'm not a construction guy. And then when that's nice and level, just put this right on top of it, or build it on top of it, because you got to build it in sections to seal the sections. And the other thing I want to tell you is, don't lock everything down tight on that foundation until you get the doors built. Because if you lock things down tight and then you go to assemble the doors might be kind of crooked, and then you can't move things around. So that door doesn't close properly. It closes, but not as tight and as nice as this one. So we learn from our mistakes, okay? So anyway, the greenhouse is clear now. And the purpose of the greenhouse, just to let you all know, purpose of the greenhouse, I'm going to say y'all a lot more often because I live in Georgia, and that's how everybody talks, so you start talking like everybody else. But the greenhouse itself has two purposes, okay? The first purpose is, I have limited space in my 2-car garage where I'm starting thousands and thousands, approximately over 30,000 baby plants. So I can get about half that on tables under lights, and I have 16 LED lights. I actually have 18. I have 2 spares. And then I have 2 older ones, so I actually have, almost 20. But I have limited floor space, because I have other stuff in there in my garage, So I kind of have to start plants, get them going, and then I got to move them somewhere. Well, I need to move them into this greenhouse where it's going to still be warm in case the nights get down into the 40s or whatever, or even 30s. But it doesn't look like we're going to be that temperature anymore. And then I can start my second round of plants, which I'm only doing 2 rounds, unless some things fail and I have to replant again. And get those under the lights, and then when they're ready, move them out here. So this is a staging area for my baby plants, okay? And then when we're sure the weather's nice and safe for the nursery and for me to transplant from my growing, we'll move them out. And then we're done with the greenhouse, okay? And then around October, towards mid-end October, if there's some plants that we want to keep alive and keep going, and not to keep producing, because pepper plants are like human beings. After they've done a lot of work, which is for them producing peppers, they get tired. And unless you have the optimum temperature and humidity and sunlight and lighting and everything in your greenhouse, you're not going to keep producing peppers year-round. You have to create a good environment. You can't have it get down to 40 degrees at night in the greenhouse and just keep the plants going, alive, and expect them to produce pods like they would in the summer. It's just not going to happen. And that's why I don't like indoor growing, because you have to do so many things just to get a limited amount of peppers off your plants. Now, there are greenhouse growers in Finland and the Netherlands and Holland that, they have systems that it's all computerized. They've got humidity, airflow, CO2, everything's dialed in, and they grow longer than us because, they'll get the plants to produce longer. I've seen 15-foot tall pepper plants. And so, they're doing that. But I want you to keep in mind that the cost of electricity and water and God knows everything else here, I'd have to sell my peppers for, like $10 a pepper if I wanted to get my money back after my electric bill and all the labor and all the equipment. And I'm just not doing that. So that's not going to happen. So that's why you don't see peppers year round, because the plants get tired unless you create the optimum environment for them. And even then, they slow down. They need to rest. They need to kind of take it easy, okay? They need a break. So you can keep them alive and overwinter them, which I've done with some, and I'm going to show you those in a minute or two. So the second purpose of my greenhouse, sorry for rambling on there and going off. The second purpose of the greenhouse is when I have peppers that are green and almost full size, but yet we're going to get down to the low 30s or low 20s for a few nights in a row. I can cover them with sheets, and I did that last year. But really, if I really want more peppers off those plants, if I'm like, oh my God, I just need to get more peppers off those plants, I don't have enough seed collected, then I'm going to drag them in here, and I'm going to use heaters on those cold nights, and I'm going to keep them going until those peppers ripen out. So there'll be no more production. So for the, I'll say ignorant people out there that go, well, you could have cross-pollination in there. I'm not producing more peppers. Anything that comes in this greenhouse towards the end of October that's got a flower on it, that flower is not going to become a pepper for me to harvest. I'm only trying to keep the plants going a few months longer to get more ripe peppers off them, the ones that have already formed when they were underneath the isolation nets outside. Okay? And the other thing I'm using this greenhouse for is I have some citrus trees. I have some orange trees. I have some lime trees. I have some lemon trees and one or two other tropical trees that I don't know if they're going to do anything for me, but they sure as heck can't be outside. So I'm going to bring them in here to protect them during the winter. So everything's been moved out yesterday, and I pulled the weeds that were growing through in here, and I swept up as best as I can. I even did some vacuuming in here. And so the next step is I'm going to bring some racks out here from my baby trays, and I'm going to bring my baby trays from the garage out here this weekend. And then I'm going to start my next round of plants. So just to let you all know, I am probably not going to have every variety ready by first day of May. It might be second week of May. It is what it is. We had a freeze a week ago, and I wasn't going to move stuff out here when it was 25 degrees at night. I could have put a lot of heaters out here, but I had all the other plants out here that I was still protecting. So it's like, I can't move anything out here until everything's moved out. So anyhow, so let's go look at the rest stuff. So over here I have some 7-pot brain strain that I pruned back. And I'm not for overwintering, folks. I have too much to do. But you know what? I need more brain strain. And one of my other growers is growing it for me. So I'm going to keep these plants alive and put them on the nets. Here I have some Maldivian heart. These are getting yanked. Why? Because I had 2 variations. And I don't remember which one had one variation and one had the other. So I don't know. So I'm not going to net these. I'm growing all 3 variations of the Maldivian, orange, yellow, and red, anyway, from seed. So these will get pulled out of the pots, and I'll try to save some of the soil. Over here I have some Scotch Bonnet Freeport orange, and I'm going to keep at least 4 of them. I'll probably put them over one of my friends' houses. They'll be the only variety over there, so I won't have to net them. Here we have some Fatali. I just pruned these yesterday, so you're not seeing any new growth on them. If I would have pruned them 2 months ago, I would see some new growth on them, but I didn't. I can always use seed from Fatali, so yes, these will go to another location, or 4 of them will go into nets and get replanted in bigger pots. I have a couple Scotch Bonnet TFMs. I got 2. I already planted some for seed. So if these start growing new growth back, I'll only need 2 of the plants that I'm growing for seed. We have some lemon starburst here. Some of them are getting new growth. They were pruned earlier. You can see that one's got those peppers on it. I told you these peppers that form in the winter that are tiny and worthless. So I don't keep those peppers. This plant is probably the only plant I didn't prune. And then over here we have some ahi chambo. I'm debating on keeping these going because I am growing these in another location isolated. So, I might just yank these out. I really don't need to grow ahi chambo in 2 areas. here's the Isabella Island, the Galapagos Islands pepper, which is very rare. I still have some seeds on the website of this. And these I did prune early, so you can see they're coming back with new growth. These will go under nets. I will keep these alive for the rest of the year. Over here is the Jacatoba plant, which I haven't got anything off of, but they got these weird fruits that grow on the tree limbs. And they look cool online, so I bought the tree, but I never got anything out of it yet. And over there, you've got some ahi amarillo, which I got a lot of pods off during the winter. I mean, there was so many green pods on there that needed just to get a little bigger and ripen. So that gave me a few thousand more seeds. So I was glad I dragged them into the greenhouse. It was a real pain, though. And I'm just going to keep them alive. This isn't chili related, but over here are 2 ice cream banana trees that died when we got down to close to 0 degrees. Even though I put mulch around the stems and I covered the pots with towels, the pots pretty much froze. So you know what? They're dead. And you know what's, it's deceptive because the website said hardy down to 25 degrees. So you figure if they're hardy down to 25 degrees and then you put some protection on them, they should survive. But nah, it was too much for them. I was going to buy another pair again because they're really delicious bananas. I wanted to try to grow them, but the only way I'm going to be able to grow them is if I plant them in the ground and then cover them, or I chop them down every year and drag them into the greenhouse. And I just don't want to drag more stuff into the greenhouse. I'm going to grow some Australian finger limes. And they'll produce better for me. So, no banana trees. And over here we have some mandarin oranges. We have some key limes. And we have some Meyer lemons. And they're all flowering now. So hopefully I'll get some fruit off them this year. And then here's some elderberry. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, when we got down to 0 degrees with the wind chill for about 2 days in a row, and for most of the week in the 20s in the evenings, low 20s, the pots froze. I mean, the soil in these pots froze rock solid, all my pots outside. But these elderberries, they came back. So, and these were little things when I planted them. So I should be getting some elderberries. I've got some outside on the perimeter of my property. But I got these 2 in here, so I should get some elderberries and make some elderberry wine or elderberry jam. Over here is my second raised bed that we just built. My friend Adam helped me build. We tilled up the soil, and then we put all this granulated gypsum down because gypsum conditions clay soil. It breaks it down, so we put gypsum down. Then we'll put a layer of cardboard because that attracts worms, and then we'll put a layer of leaves and twigs. And then we'll fill the rest up with compost and mulch. And then we're going to grow, I don't know, green beans, greens, maybe some squash. It's 12 by 6 foot. Here's the 12 by 6 foot we planted last year. And we've got raspberries in here. We got blueberries in. The raspberries are taken off. You can see over there. And I've got the sage survived the winter. And we got blueberries. I'm going to put 2 more blueberries in here. I'm just going to crowd this thing. This is going to be my super berry raised bed. So we just got to do some weeding in here, and then I'll have a bunch of berries. I have over 30 berry bushes on my property. I mean, I truly believe that our economy is not going to get better, and you can hope all you want, but the prices of food have went up, and they're going to keep going up, and they're not going to come back down. So growing your own food, berries are easy to grow. They come back every year after the winter. And there's some fruit trees that come back every year. So, you know what? You got a yard, you got a backyard, plant some fruit trees, plant some berries, and that's just a little bit less money you'll be spending on food every year. Now, all the plants we were growing for seed have been pulled out. There's still a bunch of leaves that are all over the ground that are littering, and a truck is on the way now with 22 yards of compost mulch from about an hour away, about 50 miles away. They're on the way now. They should be here within an hour, and they're going to dump that back behind my fence. And then I have a crew of guys that are going to load up these pots to the top. We do not change out our soil every year. That's why we get a compost mulch that has kind of like wood and bark mixed in with it, as you can see. it takes about 4 years to break down. When it breaks down, it becomes topsoil, right? Everything becomes soil when it breaks down. And then the pots don't drain. Then you have a problem because peppers don't like soggy roots. They like well-drained soil. So what we do is every year we pull out the plants and we lose about 1/3 to 1/2 of the mixture. And then we top them off. And we'll do that for 4 years, as long as we can get away with it, right? Because once we're done with it, we have to dump out every single one of these pots and fill them completely all up over again. So 3 more years from now, don't be surprised if I say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Or maybe I do. But that's how much work we're going to have to do. We have about 600 pots here. So not looking forward to 3 years from now. But that's what we do. We don't dump the soil out and mix it up and start all over again. We use organic nutrients as possible. And that way, you know what, there's less salt build up from the fertilizer breaking down or the nitrogen breaking down. And so we really don't have to change it. You know, the rain runs through it all winter and flushes stuff out. And then we just load them back up and use some organic nutrients and we're ready to go. Okay? And finally, we have our cascabel plants. We put these out in the greenhouse end of August. Yeah, end of August. And the reason why is we got cascabel seeds from a source. We grew them up and they weren't cascabel. And 5-6 years ago, I could find cascabel on at least 4 websites from other people. I only know one person that had the true seed. So I emailed him and he sent me some. And I germinated the seeds in August, and end of August, I moved them out here into the greenhouse. And I got probably about 30, 40 peppers, which was enough to get the seed back up on my website last week. But other than that, I mean, I didn't have cascabel. It's a Mexican pepper. I got 12 plants here. As you can see, some of them are falling over. I had them all leaning against each other in the greenhouse. These are starting to produce fruit now. So we put them in the greenhouse in October, and the fruit that was already growing, you know, got a little bigger and then turned color. It took forever. The peppers don't like to produce and get going when the nights are cool. They kind of go, oh, it's winter. It's time to kind of slow down. And so, you know, well, we got enough pods so that we could sell it again, you know. So anyhow, I'm going to move these to a friend's house, all 12 of them. I'm going to put stakes on them tonight because tonight the storm's coming. And if they don't have stakes on them, and with the wind and the rain, they're going to blow over and maybe break. So before I move them, I got to stake them. You can see right now the wind's blowing them around a bit. We're supposed to get a storm about midnight tonight. So that's a job I have to do today. I've got some rosemary over there I'm going to plant along the exterior of my yard, outside close to the woods. Because deer hate rosemary, and I want to put rosemary around my berry bushes that are outside so the deer don't want to come around them. There's 2 more blueberries I haven't transplanted yet. Got 2 more blueberries over there, and I got 2 more on the side over there. And I'm going to plant an apple and a peach tree there, and then I got a peach tree there. I've got fruit trees and berry trees all over. Probably in 2 to 3 years, I will have enough fruit to self-sustain myself. If I need to, and I can't get any, I'll just make jams, preserves, pickle it, can it, whatever. You know, I'll have peaches, apples, pears, pawpaw, all kinds of stuff. Why not? I mean, why not? What else am I going to do semi-retired? You know, I might as well grow other stuff too, right? Not just chilies. So anyway, that's what we got going on, and I'm going to get this uploaded to my YouTube. And when I put the racks in the greenhouse, there's some of the racks right there that I just had made for me so I can put more plants in the greenhouse. And I get the rack set up, I'll do a little video and show you all the racks and stuff, okay? So you guys take care. God bless you. This is Jim Duffy, Refining Flower Chilies, www.superhotchilies.com.